Now, one thing that we should take note is that when you are in school, studying is part of the core business of your learning. You attend classes. After attending classes, you need to study. Our timetabling will be starting at 8 hours and it ends at 16. After 16 hours, you go back to your hostels. And between 16 and sunset, you need maybe to take your uniform, you wash your uniform, you prepare food because there is no dining or anywhere. So you prepare your own food. Then after preparing your own food, you start the studying. And it's during the same period of time, we'll have even issues to do with CAs, continuous assessments. So now put yourself in that situation. It's important that this skill of how best you can study becomes part of you. Now, when people take on new courses or study, one of their biggest fears might be that they will fail. And some of us are already thinking, I don't know if I will pass anything. The reason why people fail differ, but the most frequent reasons for failure have nothing to do with how clever or intelligent a person is, but rather how they approach the material that they are taught in class. Most students, and mostly students, fail because they do not know how to study. Okay, that's the biggest question. A student who knows how to study, it's very impossible for them to fail. But the students who do not know how to study, they usually fail, and you should not be part of such a grouping. Okay. Now, we won't do a group work, but let's start with attitudes to successive learning. Remember, you were in high school, and at times you had a negative attitude to attending classes. I would give an example of myself. One subject I hate with passion was mathematics. Okay, it was mathematics. When such a period would come, I would feel as if I have malaria. Why? I had a negative attitude towards such a course or subject. So one thing that is important as you sit in class, be open-minded. Do not develop a negative attitude towards any course. At times, we usually like a certain course because of the teacher who is teaching or the lecturer who is taking us in that course. Then when you compare that lecturer to other lecturers, you would like, I think this one teacher is better than the other one. And that would be the premise or the basis of hating and developing a negative attitude towards a certain course. Remember, all courses are important for your progression. So be open-minded. And the other thing that is very important that you need to identify your personal skill, your weaknesses, and the strength. That is why when you have come to school and you think, I think I'm so strong in this course, I'm not very strong in the other course. Why can't you identify someone who is stronger in that other course to partner with you? Okay. And by the way, when students teach themselves, they even understand better than when they are taught in class. Then apart from this, we need to be willing to share our ideas, our thoughts with other learners and those who are teaching us, all right? Learning, we are taught, usually occurs very well when we have open discussions with others. So one key thing to your success in studying is creation of a studying group. 5-step learning model. All right. 5-step learning model. So this is a model that demonstrates on how best we can approach studying. At the center on top there, we are seeing a circle indicating that all of us, we need to read. And the reason why we are reading, we need to do the understanding. And after you have understood, you need to remember. And after you have remembered, it will be very possible for you to apply what you have studied in either a test or an assignment. And after that, that will be what you will demonstrate in your life. It could be at home or at a school. Now, the question is, how well should I do my reading or my studying? Do not be swayed by some of your friends who will study for 5 hours without getting tired. If you are studying even for 30 minutes, your concentration has come to an end. Do not force yourself, okay? What would mean that for you, you need to have so many frequent times for studying. If you study maybe for 30 minutes, you are tired, you lose concentration, you can stop, engage yourself in other activities again, begin your studying until you have fulfilled the goal for such a day. The other thing that will help you in understanding and remembering is by having a study book. It could be a hardcover book. So what you have studied, for example, we are learning on study skills. What I've studied on study skills, at the end of it all, I close my textbook, it should be a laptop. Then I start writing what I've understood. Then after you have written what you have understood, you go back to that material and check through. You are checking through because you want to know whether you captured the information very well, okay? So it becomes so important. Then we need also to develop reading techniques. Okay? Always read the introductory section carefully. If you have been given notes, that thing on top, which is titled Introduction, read it very carefully. If you have understood the introduction, it will be very easy for you to understand the content that is inside. Number 2, read and understand the objectives. When you'll be given notes, there will be a section where the lecturer would put learning objectives, meaning that's what they want you to get at the end of that topic. So read carefully, understand the learning objectives. Then, as you go through the content, your learning objectives should be answered, all right? Let me just give you this hint. At times, some lecturers will bring questions based on their learning objectives. And there are situations when you're out of this examination room, you would be like, no, I know that thing, but you failed to write. Why? Because you did not understand very well. Now, secondly, avoid memorizing, and this might not be of help to you, but I should indicate that you can even start by memorizing, then you put them into your long memory. It's very important. As you are studying, you can use dictionaries that will help you explain bigger terms or words that you cannot understand easily. Write summary notes. Now, make sure you do not copy what has been written in those notes. Remember what I earlier said? So in this book, which could be a bigger hardcover book, you can divide it. Divide the hardcover book. And as you do the divisions of this hardcover book, you can maybe the first few pages, this is for fundamentals of nursing. The other one is for psychology. The other one is professional practice. It goes on and on. Why are you dividing that book? You want to have one book which you can use for writing short notes or your summaries. If, for example, there's an exam tomorrow, it does not require you to go through all your books. You won't finish, but you have those summary notes. It will be quicker. You just go to your summary notes and you have written. Then discuss what you have read with others. Why are you doing this? You want to ensure that what you have read really sinks in your mind into the longer memory. So when you are discussing, you are also studying. Now, it's important with the issue of remembering. At times, you may just be sitting in this examination, then from nowhere, your memory jams. It's like your brain has been formatted. Okay. Now, how do you ensure that you remember or recall? Now, remembering is an important part of learning and require that one is able to recall what they have read. It is not just about being able to repeat facts. For many people, once they have understood something properly, they will remember it because it made sense to them. But like what I earlier on indicated, there are courses that you won't really like, but you need to remember, and at the end of the day, pass your examination. So how do you ensure that you remember? Number one, it's very important that some of these passages can be summarized and you put acronyms or abbreviations, okay? For example, let me give this example. Someone indicates to you that write the principles of coming up with an objective, a good objective. So one thing that we indicated yesterday, that some of these principles could be abbreviated as what? Maybe someone who was here yesterday, what did we say?
SMART.
Great. So you know that each letter stands for something. So when you want to remember easily, you can put my short codes, but it's again disastrous. At times when you put those to my short words to help you remember, if you forget one word, it becomes somehow impossible to remember everything. So the emphasis to you is that if you want to remember and write what you have studied, it's important that you increase on the frequency of studying, all right? Important to actually remember. The other thing that will help us learn effectively is to attend to all exercises and tests, right, or assignments. Then you should also take time to read journals, magazines, books, and any other issues that are related to your subject that you are considering. Okay, let's go to study techniques. Some of these things I think I've already gone through, but study techniques, number one, we need to develop study habits, all right? So now these study habits, I'll give you an example. There was a time when I was in grade 9 and I should be proud of myself. I got very good marks. Yeah. So during my study as a student, long time ago in grade 9, even in college, of course, but I want to give you an example in grade 9. We had this same spot where we were sitting with my friends, okay? So developing study habits, number one, it indicates that you need to identify a place where you can study from. If you go to libraries, you would notice that some people would sit on the same spot every time. It is not because maybe they are practicing some rituals, no. It's far away from that. It is because your mind will concentrate very well on that very spot, okay? So identify a place where you can study from constantly. Secondly, keep a notepad, pens, pencils, highlighter, crayons, markers, and other writing materials in your study room. But we don't have a study room, maybe a study table, okay? So you need to have these things. A pencil is very important. Highlighter is very important. Decide the time you will be spending on doing your coursework. This is very important. Not today, you are studying at 19, tomorrow you are studying at 20, the other day you're studying at 01, the other day you're studying at 05. You need to have same time. Why? We want you to develop a habit. Okay. Then it's important again not to spend so much time just studying, but remember time management becomes so important. So leave time to do other demanding things. Schedule your time accordingly to suit your situation. That is why when you have come in school, please, other social activities should be avoided. Those who are coming to school to Lusaka for the very first time, or we have been here, but you have not been to Apex, I should warn you one thing. This is a school where you will find so many people of different cultures. We even have people coming from other countries, Namibia, Botswana, etc. Okay? We even have Indians, etc., 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 etc. Now, one thing that is true is that this is an environment where we have so many people who are becoming part of us. Now, maintain your stance in life. Do not copy things that you would find here. Concentrate on your studies, okay? Do not spend your time on social engagements, for example, partying, going to bars, and after drinking out your money, the next thing that you do is go in a toilet, urinate all the money, and at the end of the day, you have lost time on your schoolwork. Depending on the amount of work you have to study, you may have to allocate more time to your studies. Learn some time for relaxation and fun. So don't study continuously. You can even have time in the evening, you go around jogging. Then consider your sleep patterns, okay? Sleeping patterns, very important. And I should emphasize this. Don't just follow anyone who would say, oh, me, I wake up at 01. And even yourself, you would say, even me, I think I should start waking up 01. They are waking up at 01 because that's their very best time to do what? To study. Others would study before they go to sleep. So know your pattern and maintain that pattern. In the end, it will just do much work for you. Okay? Then stick to your study schedule. The timetable. Draw up a timetable. All right, draw up a timetable. This is a priority. It's the very first thing that you need to do. Draw up a timetable. There is no way every day you'll be studying anatomy and physiology, anatomy and physiology, anatomy and physiology. You need to stick to your study schedule. For example, we have how many courses as I indicated? You have 8 courses in your first semester. And how many days do you have in a week? You have 7 days in a week. So how can you put up your study schedule? Maybe in a day you can put 2, one in the morning, one in the evening. If you put one every day, it will be very difficult for you to come back to that course because it would mean in a month you only study that course how many times? 4 times. And that is a recipe for failing. So in case you miss your study time due to circumstances beyond your control, make time to catch up. Feel guilty. This time around when you come to school, all of us, you should have this switch of guiltness. When you have not studied, it is on. It will want you. Identify things that can distract you from your studies. If it is friends, if it is the phone, during your study schedule, put it on aeroplane mode. If it is your family, tell them that during this period, I study and I don't mean to offend you. It's the very people that you laugh at you. after you have failed to study and you have failed your courses. So please, then set your study goals. For example, to read in detail a topic every day for 2 hours from 9 hours to 11 hours. This is just an example. Okay, then follow instructions and complete all exercises and tests. This will help you to gauge your understanding and all that. Participate in study support groups. When you come through, this is one thing that you should do. Create your study group, start studying. Okay? And I think this is sinking well in you. We have already gone through this, but let's also ensure that the other thing that you should work on is to develop reading techniques. Often, we need to read the introduction and the course objectives. All right? Know what is required of you in this course. Then, apart from that, it's important that as you study, if there are questions at the end of the chapter, if you're using a textbook, you need to answer them as you read. It will just help you. The other thing that you can do is to create your personal questions. After you have studied through, you create questions, and after you have created those questions, try to answer them and grade yourself. Okay? Summarize the most important ideas that you need to pick from that topic. All right? Now, stop if you don't get it or understand the passage. There are times, page 1, you flip. You don't know anything. You can't understand anything. Page 2, you flip. Page 3, you flip up to the end. Then, no, I've studied for 2 hours. If you can't get anything on one page, stop, go back, relax, again, attempt to read. It's important that if you still can't understand, get a friend that will help you. Okay? And apart from that, it's important that if you're unable to understand this topic, adjust the speed at which we are reading and try to summarize this material in a normal and proper manner. So do not be in a hurry when studying. Now, read and study actively. Active study means reviewing the material using more than one method or strategy. So like what I was saying, how do you increase on your memory? Some have used flashcards. Others, they will use highlighters to highlight key points. Others, they will develop self-quiz or questions after you have gone through the material. So it is important to evaluate yourself. If there are any past papers, you can also get them, go through those questions that speak to that topic, try to tackle them and understand them. Then abide by the rules of the net. All right? So this is important. Now, I should also say that when you have been given an assignment to write, do not just go and copy from the internet and put in your book or your assignment. Here at our school, all of us, we have what is known as the anti-plagiarism software. So if you copy, they will know that this one copied from this source, from that source, from the other source, and it will be a 0. And no one wants to give you a 0. So when you come through, we will also teach you how you can write, writing techniques, okay? So that will be so important. Understand, remember, and apply what you have acquired, okay? Hopefully, this is important. Let me just touch briefly on time management. Then in our next session, we'll pause for questions. So time management, again, is something that is very important to all of us. The way we manage our time will really determine how we will go through this course. So time management is important. This is one important skill that we need to utilize and use as the students, okay? Now, the following are some of the points that can help you manage time. Number one, you need to set challenges, very realistic and achievable. Remember, we said each one of us, we need to come up with goals. So the same goals will help you to manage time. At the end of each goal, there is time that is allocated. Then apart from this, create a weekly or monthly list of things to do for the school, okay? So if it's in a week, create what you need to accomplish and prioritize the list. Pick out what is very important on the list that you have created, okay? That will help you manage time effectively. Then create time line for every activity. For example, I would say, I will write my assignment from 19 to 20 hours. It should be just that. Commit yourself, finish. Then from this date to this time, I will study for this course. Just do that. Consider starting with the most difficult subjects as you are studying, because that will also help you in will help us. Then plan your time carefully. Break the work into smaller and the specific tasks. All right. Then the other thing that is very important as a student, address all anticipated disturbances. What do I mean? We should know that this will be the source of me losing on my time. For example, you would know that your friend would come to visit you at 19 hours. So you have anticipated, tell them in advance that at this time I would be busy and they will keep away, okay? Any time that you lose will really count. Make good, clear, specific, and precise arrangements to avoid wasting time. Your friend from nowhere just comes, oh, I want to go and buy some vegetables, meaning you have vegetables in your room. Because you are not principals, you take off with your friend. You buy vegetables, you come back. Meanwhile, that student, maybe your friend could have even studied. So do not waste time on useless things. Then alternate reading with more active exercises. Keep short breaks regularly. Share your home tasks with other family members if you are coming from home. Then those who are coming from home, it's important that you indicate to your relatives that at this time I'm in school. And if possible, if they want you to do any work at home, tell them to give you work in advance so that when you have cleared that work, no more disturbances. Organize your study area and make use of it. At times, you sit on a table, you don't even have a pen, you don't have your book for summaries. So everything should be put on a piece of, on this table so that you minimize movements. The only time maybe you would stand up is when you want to go to the toilet. Do things very well, okay? Say no to assertively. Say no assertively and yet respectively. If someone calls you, I want you to escort me to this, don't say to them, no, you are time wasters, I can't accompany you. Tell them in a more respectable manner and assertively without injuring anyone's rights. Review the material. Now, weekly review what you could have accomplished, all right? What you could have accomplished. Haven't you wondered why other people, they still use 24 hours to do a lot of things? Meanwhile, yourself in 24 hours, you won't do one task. Someone will tell you, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yourself, not even one. You have not even finished reading a page of a book. The others would say, I've done this, I've written my assignment, I've done that. Okay? Use your free time wisely and use every bit of time available. Do not push things that needs to be done today. Do them today. Self-discipline and dedication is very important. Okay? Don't let old habits get in your way. If you have been drinking, do not get your drinking habits get in your way. Stick to the schedule that you have been given. Understand your objectives, okay, before you begin your study. So this is something that I've been re-emphasizing. And the other thing is know your limits and stop the sessions when you cannot no longer concentrate. Sitting on a table, studying things that you can't understand is also time wasting. If your concentration has come to an end, you can just quit your studies. Say no to things that will prevent you from achieving your goals. Stick to your study principles. Do not be discouraged or intimidated. When you come through, you think you are too wise or you are very sharp in high school, you're getting 80, 80, 80, 80. You come here, you get 0.8, 8 as in 8. You look at it, it's still 8. Then you become so intimidated, you even stop thinking. So do not be discouraged or intimidated, all right? And take a break and then refresh to face your challenges. If you failed in this course, plan well. Time is very important so that you do your very best. Wait for the right time for social events and issues. Do not just participate in things for the sake of participation. All right, school will be very busy. That I can tell you,